So how's it going, everyone? This is Prashan here. If this is your first time here, welcome. If this is your last time here, thank you for stopping by. And if you're one of my many subscribers, I do have a special guest here. I have Jeff Hoagland, not Hooglin. How's it going?
Good.
Good, good. So, um, I don't know, some background. When I first started playing Marvel Snap, I think you were the person I went to watch how to play the game. So it was basically you and TLSG. And then it was weird because, like, when I would go on Snap.fan, I would look and see how many games have been played. And I noticed, like, I crept up and past you because, like, I kept on wanting to play the game so I could get every single card. That way I could play the decks that you were playing for the most part. So that was, like, some of the, like, background on it. Like, you're probably one of the go-tos when it comes to like deck creation, even though like some might work for me and then some might not, because like of course it depends on how your brain works and your play style and RNG and all that good stuff. But basically, like,
Just be honest. There's a lot of the decks that I play that are bad.
true, like, to be honest, sometimes I play bad decks too. Like, I didn't know the behind the scenes of content creation is like the smoke and mirrors, and like sometimes it takes me 20 minutes to make a video, or it'll take me like 45 minutes to an hour just based off of like how much I'm sucking, how much I'm getting beat. So
Yep.
that's pretty much it. So I guess like my first question is like when it comes to content creation and all that, like I know you've been doing it for a while, and then I know like you do your deck highlights, but is there anything else you want to dabble into in the future when it comes to content creation?
I Whenever I get a good idea for a new type of educational content, I think is one of my favorite types of things to do that always kind of struggles on the YouTube side a little bit because it can be tough to like kind of give people the medicine that it feels like would make them better players but also get them engaged enough to like click through and then stick with the video on the YouTube side especially. My background before doing snap stuff is I had a little bit of formal training as a teacher teaching at high school and university level a little bit. So that type of more formal teaching type thing is something I really like to do.
As far as like your favorite card right now, what do you think is your favorite card at the moment?
Um, Probably Beast or Falcon. I really love the cards that let you like pick things back up and play them again because they lean into like the style of decks that I really enjoy, which are things that play out multiple cards on turns like 4, 5, and 6. I think some
Hmm.
of the most interesting decisions in Marvel Snap are when you have, anywhere from two or more cards that you're playing out in those final turns and figuring out not only which locations you're putting them at, but which order you're putting them at in the various locations.
Right, right. And I don't know, because what technically you're the godfather of bounce, right? So I would figure those would be your top cards.
Yep.
Uh, as far as like I guess deck creation, like what do you figure is your base whenever it comes to creating a deck?
My I always tell people whenever a new card releases, my two go-tos are first, can I pick the card back up and play it again with
Hmm.
BC Falcon? And then if I can't do that, go-to is usually trying to finagle some type of Moon Girl shell. I think she leans into those types of decks that I really enjoy playing too, where you like duplicate cheap cards that have multiple plays on the last turn of the game away. It's hard for your opponent to predict.
Right. And I feel like with decks nowadays, since the game has been out for so long, there's so many good decks that are just a card or two away, and then the only thing you have to do is replace one bad card with one of the new cards, and it makes the deck so much better.
Example that was we had Black Knight released last week where it was just like Ghost Rider just like never had a home. There were like these weird C and D tier decks that tried to use it, and now with Black
Mhm.
Knight, oh, the Black Knight decks are Ghost Rider decks, and there's finally like a pair for this card to work with.
Right, exactly. And then I think I had like a copycat deck before Loki came out, and then I think I put Absorbing Man in there, and the only thing I had to do is take Absorbing Man out, put Loki in, and it was pretty much a Loki deck. So that happens like all the time. So out of all of Marvel Snap, what do you think is a card that should be reworked or like redone or taken out, in your opinion?
Ugh. I have two answers that are both equally good. The first is Chavez. I think is the card that we've actually gotten hints that she's gonna get a rework at some point, and I just think her current design is just it's so boring. I took one of the 12 interesting card decisions I have as like this is just a card that makes my deck statistically more consistent. It's not exciting. I'm never happy to draw it, but it's optimal to play, so you like put it in there with the side.
Right. And then since you are a math guy, what is better, Chavez or Quicksilver?
Chavez by a lot, right?
Okay.
Quicksilver is a teaching tool. Actually, Ben Brode had a fun story where Quicksilver's existence, he said, is essentially just there to teach players that they don't have to play a one energy card on one.
Oh wow, that's interesting. But what about Domino? Like you just is Domino the
Yeah,
same
yeah.
thing?
Domino's like similar, right? So like one of the things they discovered when they removed the ability to like mulligan cards at the start of the game was players kept being frustrated that they didn't have plays on 1 and 2.
Hmm.
And by giving players tools like Quicksilver and Domino, they let them solve that problem while also realize slowly as they played more, oh, these cards are hindering me, and it's actually not a big deal if I skip one or two or both in some situations.
Right. Makes sense. Makes sense. Let's see. Like I don't know. Like for me, I think Quicksilver should be reworked just based off his like power ability, or even the Punisher. Right. Like I think like based off who the Punisher is, I think the Punisher should have what Cyclops High Evo should be. Like
Sure. Yeah, I think like from a flavor perspective, like what the characters do, Shocker and Cyclops are probably two of the biggest misses. Like they're no ability cards and like one's electric and one shoot laser beams. At least they like kind of fix Cyclops with high Evo. A little
right,
bit.
right. And then as far as like Marvel lore, are you into the lore at all?
I never got quite into comic books, but I was a avid MCU follower up until I dove into Snap stuff.
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. I read comic books like all all the time. I literally like go to my comic like tomorrow I'll be at my comic book shop like every Wednesday I go and they have my comics like ready for me and I read nothing but X-Men. So yeah, I'm deep into it. Let's see here, and then
What's your opinion? Do you think they did Cyclops dirty then? If you're big
oh
into
yeah, for
no
sure,
bias here.
for sure they did Cyclops dirty. I think Quicksilver's pretty much done dirty. I think I don't know. There's a bunch of cards that have
Quicksilver in X-Men? I'm actually not familiar with his character.
somewhat. He's Magneto's son in some
Oh,
timelines.
okay.
So like basically Polaris and Quicksilver are Magneto's children. So is Scarlet Witch. So yeah,
Okay.
that's how that goes. Um,
I think I think the other card that I think definitely needs a redesign is Kang is such a sad and frustrating card.
yes, for sure, for sure. So the my biggest ick when it comes to like the game is pretty much when someone plays Magic and then they play Kang on turn 7. That is the worst thing ever. It's like, dude, like if you can't get it with
Where
Magic,
did my 3 minute game go?
right? Like you cannot do it with Kang. You might as well quit. Like there's no way. If you need an extra turn and then a redo of that extra turn, like there's no way. That's like my biggest Marvel snap pick.
I could almost forgive Kang's time wasting if it like did it for something useful, but it's just like 9 times out of 10, or probably even 99 times out of 100, honestly. It's like they Kang you and they're like, yep, I'm gonna retreat now. And it's just like, well, you should know that. You should be retreating based
Right.
on the rest of the cards I played.
Well, I wish it could be like basically like shuffle your like cards back in your deck and then redraw. If you could do something like that, that would be cool.
Yeah, just something more than like feeling like you not only wasted my time, but you wasted it for no value.
Right.
Like, I think Daredevil's a good example, right? Like, I don't really get frustrated that Daredevil extends the game because it feels like he's doing something meaningful and then doesn't make me redo my stuff afterwards.
Right. And then it goes within the flow of the game for the most part. You're just waiting for your
Yep.
opponent to play compared to you saw what they did and then you have this huge animation just for them to retreat. Just so they can save like a few cubes. Like He's basically a cube saver at this point. And then Nico just dropped. So what are you playing with Nico right now?
I'm gonna put Nico in honestly everything. So, my most played card in Marvel Snap is the Hood, and she is just the perfect match to that card. And I'm excited to try her with him in a bunch of different shells because two of her seven spells let you deal with that -3 power body. One of them turns him into a demon, which is a huge flavor win, and the other one destroys him to draw two cards, which is absurdly powerful.
Right. I was thinking about that too because I put like Sabretooth because I got that cool like Sabretooth variant. So I want to play him so bad. But it's like he's so awkward because he's a 3 and it's hard to destroy him on the right
Yep.
turn. Like he's a good card, like don't get me wrong, but it's just awkward because he's a 3 and then you have X-23, you have Venom, you have Carnage. It's just like so much going on where it's like an awkward card to
And then
play.
maybe a little Mobius on the other side of the board occasionally for this guy that was like already struggling.
Right. Well, that's why I have Lady Deathstrike. Lady Deathstrike is definitely clutch. Like
Yep, yep.
she's the meta killer. She takes away like Luke Cage, Mobius, Ravonna. She takes away all those cards, and then even when you play Forge, you get rid of Wong. Like it saved me so many games just this card alone.
Yeah, it was really sweet how, and obviously they like buff Forge a little bit and they gave her one more point, but honestly, I think even at 3 power, Lady Deathstrike would be a very reasonable card in this meta game, just like with how many things that she tags.
Right, because I think with any card could be good just based off of what meta we are in. So like I guess back a season ago, like she was pretty much worthless because what are you gonna destroy on the other side? But now no one's playing Armor or Cosmo or I think until recently no one was playing Shang. Everyone was going on like the offensive. And then she even gets rid of Elsa too. I forgot to mention Elsa. So it's like I've won so many games just by obliterating that lane and then the opponent just rage quits.
Yeah, her and I was playing a little bit of Man Thing in the Zabu shell, another card that kind of like came into had low expectations as the formats developed more. It's like, yeah, this card's pretty reasonable.
Well, I don't know. Like with Man Thing, like what is he? Is he a 2? He's a 4 drop, isn't he? Yeah, he's a 4. So like I don't know. I think he's still awkward a little bit for me to play. Cuz I sort of want to play with like Zabu too. That way I could get him out early. But like I don't know. Like for me, he's awkward. I thought he would have felt good in high evo, but he would have felt good high evo pre all the changes that happened to high evo.
So one of the big things that I came to the conclusion with Man Thing is that you can't just play him as an individually good 4 energy card. He's basically a package where you have to play Luke Cage with him because your deck's just going to have cheap things that you need him to not shrink. And then you
Mm-hmm.
also have to play Rogue or Lady Deathstrike or something to answer opposing Luke Cages because otherwise he gets shut off. So it's
Right.
not like, oh, I could just play Man Thing as a tech card. Man Thing is like this whole package that your deck has to have space for, which makes him stress things a little bit, but it makes it work well in the Zabu shell because the Zabu deck kind of wanted to play Luke as a tech card anyways. And
Right.
Zabu already has to play things like Rogue to deal with Mobius, so then you get some overlap by tagging their Luke Cages as well.
So we had Man Thing. We have Nico.
Those are all of our. Oh, Black Knight was the other one we mentioned him.
Oh yeah, Black Knight. Yeah. I'm still I don't know. Like with me, I'm still iffy on him. Like I don't know. All the decks I've played with him, I've sucked with it. That's why I made a video of like Black Knightless discard, and that did pretty well for me. I think I climbed from like 10,000. I think I was 10,000. I made it down to like 1,800 as far as rank wise because I was just playing hella Lockjaw discard because I was so anti Black Knight. But I guess you made me a believer. I don't think I was running Ghost Rider in the shells I was running. That's maybe the reason why.
The one thing that jumps out to me about Black Knight after trying it in a bunch is I actually agree with what it feels like you're hinting at there, which was Black Knight doesn't really fit inside of like the existing discard shells that we
Hmm.
have. Like if you try and shove him into like the Mobius Modoc decks and even a lot of the Hella decks. He just felt really clunky there whenever I was trying him. And when I used him with Ghost Rider in these other kind of different shells where you're like play a couple of big things to bring back with Ghost Rider, and he's just kind of like he's a card that's like Ghost Rider redundancy, where he like gives you something that kind of reanimates them that also works with Ghost Rider. When you have both, they kind of go crazy.
Right. Yeah. That makes sense. I might dabble. I might go back to it. We'll see if I go back to it. Let's see here.
And then, like I mentioned earlier, I put everything in Moon Girl decks, Zabu Moon Girl, so you can double that blade up and play two of them.
Right. I think you made that for the weekend missions, basically like
Yeah.
double up discard, because I've noticed Moon Girl is a common thing in most of your decks, which I've gone to too, especially with like destroy, like doubling up some of those cards is definitely awesome to do. And let's see, what else do I have? Like as far as like I guess like content creation, like you shed a lot of light on how much money you made, like transparency, all that good stuff. Like, what advice would you give to someone that's like a smaller channel, doesn't have that much of of a following or a presence? What advice would you give them?
My number one piece of advice I always give to new content creators is you should always just be doing what you're doing because you enjoy doing it and not
Yeah.
because you intend to turn it into something more. Like a lot of things in life, the things that control whether or not your content is successful are kind of outside of your control. Even like my own content initially taking off a number of years back was a lot of I was in the right place at the right time, and another content creator took some time off to go do something else. So there were like people looking for something, and I happened to be there and was just fortunate to be there. And
Mm.
I don't think before my content took off, I was making bad content. It just wasn't the right place at the right time with the algorithm or what other people were doing. Um, don't quit your day job. People always like, well, when did you know you were going to go full time? I was like, well, I went full time when it was paying me money. I didn't
Right.
quit a good job to make no money at content to no viewers.
Right. Yeah, like for instance with me, like I dabbled in it because like I've watched almost everyone, and so I was like, oh, all right, like I'm gonna give it a try too. But I would make a video here and there, and I'm like, if I want to take this seriously, like I need to make like content and at least get better at what I did, or create like some type of like fan base that could like depend on me producing content. So I think in July I made like 2 videos a day, and then SnapCon, which was amazing. I think that helped me out a lot because I got to see what everyone else did, and I realized like everything was possible. And then I think I got top 8 in the tournament, so I got more exposure. Like I had more people saw me on Twitch, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna go on Twitch. So from I think Twitch, I went from like 13 like followers. I have like 500 in less than 2 months. Like my YouTube was, thank you. Like my YouTube, like when I first emailed you, I think I probably had like 600, 700 subscribers, and now I'm like almost double that. So it's definitely a grind, but it's also community too. So it's like us lifting up each other, us hanging out, talking with each other. Like I think the Snap community is like one of the best communities.
As far as actionable stuff goes, it's a little bit less just keep at it. Consistency, like you talked about a second ago, is so important. And I don't even think you have to go as crazy as 2 videos a day, but you
Mm.
just want to make it so people who are watching your stuff can build you into their schedule. They want to know, like, okay, Prashawn posts videos on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at this time. I
Mm.
watch videos at that time or a little bit after, so it becomes routine for them. So you're kind
Mm.
of part of their day and their schedule.
Right, because I recently went on a cruise, and typically I'll go on Twitch like at lunchtime. So like my lunch crew was like fiending for me. They're hitting me up in Discord asking me when I was coming back, and I was like, I'm coming back soon, guys. Like, oh, I'll be back on Monday. So
Yep.
it's definitely like an awesome feeling, and like I said, the community is great, great. So about opposite of the community, what do you feel about like trolls and all that good stuff when bad stuff when it comes to Snap?
I think if I could give past Jeff starting out one piece of advice, it would be walk away from conversations more frequently. There
Mhm.
are, you called them trolls. There's a lot of people on the internet that they're not looking to have a back and forth. They just want to kind of waste your time or win an argument.
Right.
And spending any amount of energy with someone that's trying to like get in the last word, they're always going to get in the last word because they have way more time than you do.
Right. And then I think it's like them trying to get a moral victory over you, which there isn't
Yep.
one. Like it's the internet. Like you could be anything you want to be. Especially like I guess back in the day, Twitter, like they had the eggs. Like you were just the egg. Like you
Yep.
didn't even have a picture. Like come on, dude.
And
So like,
the big thing about those interactions, I think I didn't realize enough early on, is those interactions, especially when they're in a public space like Twitter or in a stream or in comment section, it's not just between you and the person that you're interacting with. It's between you, the person you're interacting with, and everybody watching how
yes.
you're interacting with them. You know the old saying, like, if you roll around in the mud with pigs, you both get dirty and the pig enjoys it. It's like everybody just sees you getting dirty, basically.
Right.
There's no winning. You just lost in the eyes of all the people that are looking at what you're doing.
Right. But it's great. Like I've had awesome chats, like awesome people in my chat where they just like shut it down completely. They fight the battles for me, and I'm like, all right, guys, like I'll block
One
them.
thing I think is tough as a content creator is, you can get 10 positive messages in a day and one negative message from some
Mhm.
on the internet, and you're like, that's the one that like sticks in your head. You're like, God, are they right? Is that, should I go back to them? Should I respond? And it's just like,
Mhm.
it can really hit you if you let it get to you.
Right. Like when I worked in like retail or something, when we had like a bad customer, I would always tell my employees like, if you have $1 million and like that one person took $1 away, like, are you still not rich? Like, don't let it bother you. So that's what I try to I live by whenever it comes to that. And what card are you looking forward to?
I am super looking forward to Annihilus. I mentioned Hood is my most played card, and Viper,
Mhm.
one of my second most played cards, or top 10 alongside of it. And I just love the decks that like clutter the opponent's board up.
Mhm.
Nihilus is just like this super Viper basically for Hood and everything else you have going on.
Nice, nice. Because I like affliction decks. So
Okay.
Man Thing was like my favorite. Well, I think it's my favorite card of the season, but it's technically not the best. So
Yep.
I'm looking forward to Gladiator. I think it's gonna be awesome to take another card from like your opponent's deck and just obliterate it and see whatever their game plan was and just end the game right there. I think that card might be cool. Nihilus,
Yeah,
I don't.
imagine you like rip the hell out of their deck and like beat it down on turn 3. It's just like, well, your deck no longer functions, bud.
Yeah, or you could even play Forge and then Gladiator. That way he's even bigger. Like that's gonna be crazy whenever that happens. So that's definitely what I'm looking for. Annihilus, I don't know how cluttered the board will be. I don't know.
Well, I think the big thing I'm looking forward to now is past Hood. Like my guilty pleasure card that's like terrible that I play too much of is Sentry.
Mhm.
So he'll be a real nice Sentry on 4 into Annihilus, and then even if they block the path and the abomination can't jump across the board, the void can't jump across the board, it'll still get destroyed with Annihilus, which is perfect.
Right. Yeah, yeah, that might work. And then Sebastian Shaw, I'm looking forward to that one too in December. That one's gonna be pretty cool because I think whenever you buff anything, like if you buff him, even when he's not in play, he still gets plus whatever, right?
He gets double the buff or something like that if I
Yeah. So like in Surfer, I think Surfer will be back as soon as he's in play. So we'll see how that goes.
That would be sweet. Yeah, Surfer has a hard time with decks that go really tall. So if they got a tool that let them have like a really big stat line to contest like those Shuri lanes, that would go a long way towards letting Surfer be competitive again, I think.
Right. I think that was the only season where I didn't reach infinite was the Surfer season. Like I had a tough time for some odd reason. Like that's the only season. Every other season, I think ever since that I've been day one infinite.
Oh,
All right.
that's a little different than me. When I first started playing during the closed beta, I took my sweet time. I actually don't think I hit infinite until my third or fourth season playing.
Oh wow. Well, I didn't start playing until think 2 months before the game started. Because like I noticed, because I saw your video, I watched some of your videos on YouTube, and I was like, this game's out already. And then like I think I looked at TLSG's video to see how to upload the game onto your computer. So like I think I was like in the
Yep, yep,
Philippines or something. But
yep,
luckily, I
yep,
think it straightened out. I think it shows that I'm in the U.S. whenever you see my rank.
yep.
But like I was in the Philippines forever, and then whenever I bought stuff, like I didn't even know the conversion rate, and I'm like, whatever, I'll buy it. I'll deal with whatever it costs
It'll
later.
work out.
Right? It'll math itself out. So that I think I played like 2 months before then, and I don't think I reached infinite either until I think a month. No, whenever launch happened, that's when I reached infinite. I was infinite every month during launch, and then Silver Surfer is the only season I didn't. And then after that, like I've been good. Any questions you have for me? You want to roll reverse here?
What are your content goals? You hoping to snowball into something? Just hang with your community, or
Um, it be to be honest, I think it's cool. Like I think I'm just making content. Like I've made tons of friends along the way, which has been like awesome. Like in it, I don't know. It's more of a friend thing to me at this point. Like I'm good at the game. I'm getting better. I think I've always been good, but I'm trying to get more into like the tournament space. Like, but I have kids and stuff, so it's hard to do, especially during the
I feel
weekends.
you on that.
Yeah, it's horrible during the weekends. Like I was actually on a cruise this past weekend. I tried to play in the Agatha tournament. I went in the elevator and I lost internet connection. It was so horrible. So I ended up losing. I was like, ah, oh, whatever. And then I think I went to like the dining hall or something, and then I got the message in Discord from my like another match, but I was like 10 minutes behind. I was like, whatever. So that's one space I want to go into, like get my name out there by winning tournaments. I think Twitch and everything else, like as long as I make good content and I have my own community, I'm totally fine with that. I'm not in it for like the big cash grab or anything like that. I just think I seriously genuinely like the game, and I want it to last as long as
It
it
sounds like
can.
got a great mindset, especially your. And I think this is something that a lot of people miss from the competitive side is, you talked about doing tournaments, but you're not like, I want to win everything. You're like, I want to get better. I want to
Mm-hmm.
improve the game and stuff like that. And that type of mindset, I think, is so much. Not only will it let you enjoy the game more, but you'll actually improve more if you're not just focused on the result. You're focused on, okay, how do I get better or improve over what I did previously, as opposed to just focus on, I need to be number one, I need to be top 8 or whatever it is.
Right. Like I don't know. Like my goal this season is to hit triple digits when it comes to the ladder, which I may or may not hit it. Like it's totally fine, but it's more like the game within the game for me at this point. So
Yeah. Yeah, those types of goals are great. Where you're like, okay, I'm shooting for this, and if we miss, we can try again next season. And the way the ladder points normalize a little bit, they take more from the people at the top than they do from people at the mid and the bottom. Because I know even like I usually finish like top 500 or so, and the
okay,
people that were even in like the top 100, they lost way more stat points than I did even. And I'm sure
right,
I lost more than people that were down below me, as it kind of squishes us all together.
right, yeah, because it's so weird. I went from like 10,000 to like 1,000 within a few days because I guess everyone there's so many people that are in the game, so you just win like an 8 cube game and you win like 1,000 ranks
Yep,
until
yep,
everyone's bunched up. Once you get to like 8,000 snap points and beyond, everyone's just crammed in because everyone's so competitive.
yep.
Yeah, I think that is it. So thank you. I
Cool,
appreciate
cool.
you actually reaching back out to me, hanging out with me. Hopefully we can do this again sometime. I'll maybe write some questions down or we can play some games. But yeah, that's pretty much it. You have anything to say to my fan base?
If you're not familiar with me, come check me out sometime. I stream on Twitch Monday through Friday as a full-time gig and post videos up on the YouTube side 6 days a week. Snap's a lot of fun, and it's honestly the most fun I've had playing card games in a long time, as someone who's been playing them for many decades.
All right, guys. Peace out. All right.